So the question today is, what is histrionic personality disorder and how does it show up in people's behavior?
Oh, and again, this is one of those terms that people sometimes misuse. Well, not sometimes, quite often. You'll hear histrionic thrown around, right, to describe someone who's maybe just a bit theatrical, you know? But
Yeah,
clinically, it's really different, isn't it? It's a completely
yeah,
different thing.
totally, exactly. Histrionic personality disorder is another cluster B
Yeah,
condition. And if you
yeah.
want to learn about the clusters, go to the other video in the playlist. But it's a cluster B condition. So in the ICD, it's referred to as histrionic personality disorder directly. And the defining traits are pervasive attention seeking,
Hmm.
excessive emotionality, and is a style of behavior that feels incredibly shallow
Right.
and theatrical and
Mm.
manipulative to other people. So the person is uncomfortable when they're not the center of attention. And they're going to use things like physical appearance,
Right.
flirtation, and exaggerated emotion to draw focus to them.
Right. So many people. But yeah, and that can actually, that experience, I've been around so many of them, and it can be so exhausting to be around those people, right? And
Right.
for other people, to be around them. You know, I think to describe it, if you can imagine a partner who just constantly flirts with other people in front of you, or maybe they create a scene if they're not being noticed, that
Right.
thing of um, friends, when you go out for dinner, they might find, dinner out turns into a kind of stage for the person with HPD. And at
Hmm.
work, you might see it as colleagues that feeling undermined when the person steals focus or manufactures drama in some way. Because it's not just like harmless performance, is it? It can completely destabilize relationships and environments, you know?
Yeah, totally. And developmentally, you often see patterns of reinforcement in childhood. So a child who
Oh,
only receives attention when they perform, or act out, or charm, for example, may grow into an adult who relies on those strategies compulsively. And by adolescence, you may see exaggerated displays of emotion and dramatics in friendships, and that then persists into adulthood.
right. And the impact on relationships can be abusive in its own way, right?
For
That
sure.
kind
Yeah.
of manipulation through seduction, threats of
Mm-hmm.
withdrawal, creating jealousy to test loyalty. Kind of, it's all this way of kind of keeping control and to get that attention that they want. And it's really gross, isn't it? Because partners can feel very objectified and treated more like I don't know, an audience than an equal, and then
Yeah,
the
it's true.
emotional storms. Well, yeah, you are there to be their recipient, and
Yeah.
yeah, and those emotional storms that go with it, kind of the tears and anger, the declarations, they can be utterly relentless, and it's hard for people who are close to someone with HPD. It can feel like you're permanently in EastEnders or any other soap opera, you know.
Yeah. So Johnny Depp's girlfriend,
Ah, Amber Heard, yes.
Amber Heard, right.
Yeah, yeah,
That would be HPD. Now, whether
right.
she's been diagnosed with or not, I don't know, but that sort of behavior is what you would see. Because clinically, you'd expect to see shallow but very rapidly shifting emotions,
Mm,
impressionistic speech,
right,
grand statements without any detail whatsoever,
right.
suggestibility, and an overestimation of intimacy. So
Mm,
they can be really inappropriate. So
mm.
they may believe that a casual acquaintance, for example, is a deep, deep friend.
That's so interesting, isn't it? That Casey Anthony video I think we did had, I think you said she showed signs of it, which we
Did
can
I? I
link.
can't
Yeah, I
remember
think,
her.
well, you don't remember, do you? But, that thing about them thinking that acquaintances are like really deep friends, that can hurt their partners, right? Or even
Oh yeah,
children too,
for
you
sure.
know?
Yeah,
And a parent with HPD may prioritize, yeah, their social admiration over their child's needs, or use
right.
children as a prop to gain sympathy. And in intimate relationships, that manipulation, whether it's through sexuality, guilt, or drama, can absolutely cross into emotional abuse, can't it?
Very much so. Unlike narcissism, though, people with HPD are often more overtly dependent. So they fear abandonment and they seek reassurance. They're not with the same sort of intensity as BPD. They
Right.
can appear charming, lively, even fun. In fact, they are good fun to be around in small doses.
Yeah.
But it masks a fragility that's underneath.
Right. Right, absolutely. And that fragility means that while the behavior can be really damaging, it's not rooted in that kind of cold calculation. It's rooted
No.
in that deep insecurity that we'll see in BPD as well, and a desperate need for validation and to be validated. But I suppose if you're on the receiving end, it still feel and can still feel controlling and humiliating and really very draining, can't it? It's
Massively, massively
yeah.
so. And then, of course, you get the question, well, can it be treated? And sure, in terms of treatment, there isn't a single specialized approach like DPD, for example, that there would be for BPD, but psychotherapy in general can definitely help. With time, people can learn to regulate their emotions and build self-worth that isn't reliant on performance, and then they can go on to form much more stable relationships.
Right, absolutely. And so if you are living with somebody with HPD, you might feel like you're never enough and that your job is just to kind of provide attention, applause and tolerance of drama, a bit like a parent of a toddler, that kind of feeling. And it can tip into emotional abuse, as we've said, and even if it isn't always recognized as that, that taking ownership of it. But I suppose with awareness and support, things can change,
They can change. And to put it clinically, HBD is excessive emotionality and attention seeking, which starts in early adulthood and then presents across different contexts.
Right. And in everyday language, it's someone who demands the spotlight, often at the expense of those closest to them. And
Let me translate what he's saying into normal people language.
basically, I mean, not that I don't think our audience wouldn't understand, but, just to make it accessible, perhaps. But yeah, it's that, leaving other people feeling really used, drained, or even invisible. But unlike some disorders, it can be managed and relationships can improve with the right support, can't they? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key, isn't it? Recognizing it and addressing it. So,
Yeah, always.
so that it can be managed. Yeah.
Yeah.